Hi, my name is Arya, and I'm from a very small village in India. I was born on a dark, stormy night on Friday the 13th, which isn't a big deal except when your parents are crazy superstitious. Instead of letting out my first cry, I made some spit bubbles and giggled. This child is weird. Why isn't she crying? Look at her devilish smile. Once when I was 2, I was playing with my grandmother, and it was the first time I called out her name, Dadi. But it wasn't a celebration because the same day, she passed away. A few months later, when I learned to say my grandpa's name, Dada, he passed away too.
Oh my God, this is the beginning to an end. If she says another word, she might kill us all.
And the very same day, my uncles and aunts left the village with their entire families, and my parents just got weirder and crazier. I loved the color black, but they thought it was demonic, so they'd paint all my favorite black things pink. One time when I was 5, I rescued a cute black cat from the streets and brought her home. I named her Kali, but my parents went ballistic.
Black cats are evil. They'll bring death upon us.
But he's my little meow meow. The only thing that could kill us is his cuteness.
They didn't listen to a word I said and threw Callie out of the house that night, and I was furious. I started screaming at the top of my lungs, and just then, there was a loud clap of thunder, followed by a loud bang. My parents looked out the window in horror to see an ancient sacred tree struck down by lightning. Mom turned as pale as paper, and Dad started praying to all 33 million gods.
We're sorry. Please, forgive us. We've been really bad.
Yes, we're going to bring your precious little Callie back right now. They immediately dashed out of the house and came back with Callie at 3 in the morning. The very next day, they woke me up at 5 in the morning and took me to see my aunt, who lived in a far-off village. When we got there, a woman dressed in black clothes came out. "That's your aunt. Go hug her. She's just like you." I got off reluctantly, but before I'd even reached my aunt, Mom and Dad were gone. They just left me there. I was about to burst into tears, but my aunt gently took my hand. And when I went inside, my jaw dropped. The entire house was full of black ornaments and decorations. This place was heaven. You don't have to worry about anything, love. I'll take care of you from now on. For days, I thought my parents would come back for me, but they never did. And I didn't even mind because, unlike them, my aunt adored me. She was a tarot card reader, but she never taught me any of it. Instead, she put me in school. When I went to school on the first day, I was in for a surprise. It was an empty piece of land with cows and buffaloes grazing there. Oh, I'm so sorry, darling. I thought they had a building around here somewhere. Don't worry, I'll teach you at home. Well, she did teach me a couple of things, but none of them were useful. Once when I was 13, I was playing in a field with the neighborhood kids when suddenly one of them got bit by a snake. Everyone started screaming and running around in panic. Just then, a man came and decided to take him to the temple instead of the hospital. What are you, crazy? He needs to go to a doctor right now.
Are you out of your mind? God will heal him.
This was nuts, but I wasn't gonna back off that easily. I bit him hard on his hand and he started screaming.
This girl is crazy. She bit me. She bit me. I need to go to a doctor.
No, you don't. God will heal you. Let's take you to the temple. He immediately backed off and someone called the doctor and the boy's life was saved. But strange rumors about me spread through the entire village. And this stupid girl, Maya, she was the biggest gossip of them all.
She's evil. She can talk to snakes.
She's possessed. She tried to eat a man alive in front of my eyes. Oh yeah? Then you better stay away unless you want to get hurt. Well, it was fun scaring these silly kids away, but Maya wasn't one to be scared easily. She had this habit of picking on other people for no good reason. One time, when I was swimming in the lake by the jungle, she came along with her minions and grabbed all my clothes.
Let's see you transform into a snake now, Anaconda.
Hey, are you crazy? Give me my clothes back. But they just ran away with them. OMG, what was I gonna do now? Make a gown out of leaves? Well, it wasn't such a bad idea, but I was furious at Maya. I had to take my revenge. One day, I saw her making out with a guy behind a barn, and I just knew what I had to do. I picked a huge chunk of cow dung lying on the ground, made a ball out of it, and threw it at her. Ew, gross, who did that? Come out this instant. The guy who was with her ran away with the speed of a bullet, but Maya looked raging mad. As I was tiptoeing away, I accidentally stepped on a thorn and screamed out loud. You witch! I knew it was you, you evil witch! You're so gone today! And do you think I'll spare you? Then she picked a chunk of cow dung and we broke out into a massive fight. But just as I was about to throw a huge chunk right in her face, she screamed, "No, not my face! I can't afford to get pimples! It's my wedding in 2 weeks!" What? Wedding? But she was just 14. For a second, I thought she was bluffing, but no, she was actually getting married. In fact, her parents were going crazy, boasting about her grand wedding all through the village. And Maya, she was getting all the attention she craved for. But this was crazy. She was just a kid. On the day of her engagement, my aunt took me to the party. When all the people left, I saw Maya crying all alone. Something was wrong. Maya, are you okay? Get off me, witch! I don't want your sympathy. It's bad enough I'm getting married without my will. Just go away. But you looked so happy, and you always tell everyone how excited you are. I lie, because I don't have an option. That's just how things are done here, okay? But a dummy like you would never understand. Go away, for God's sake. This was so wrong. Even though I didn't like her that much, there was no way I was gonna let it happen. I had to do something. So I decided I was gonna kidnap the groom and lock him up in a room. After all, it wasn't just about one girl. It was about all the young kids in the village and their future. On the night of the wedding ceremony, I snuck into the venue. But just then, I tripped over something and crashed into the pole, holding the weight of the entire tent. The tent came crashing down, and within seconds, everything caught fire. People started running around like crazy. And just then, Maya came out screaming. I thought she'd thank me for saving her life, but she attacked me instead. You ruined my wedding, you witch. I had been preparing it for weeks. What? Something was really wrong with my ears. Her thank you sounded more like, I'm gonna kill you, witch. Suddenly, a man came rushing in and said,
The crops, they're burning. The fire has spread to the fields. We're all ruined.
OMG, what was it now? All of this because of a stupid tripping incident? But instead of running to the crop fields, everyone looked at me in shock, and I knew that look too well. I was so doomed. I ran home to save my butt and locked all the doors and windows. Just then my aunt came running.
What's wrong? What happened?
Who's knocking like a mad dog on the door? No, don't open that! There were angry villagers chanting outside that they wanted to throw me out of the village this instant.
She's the devil. She put our crops on fire. We can't let her live with us anymore.
What? It was all a freaking mistake. Why were they acting this crazy? For the first time, I felt so bad and almost burst into tears. My aunt hugged me tight and said, Don't worry, my child. I got this. She went out and told the villagers that I had already fled from the village, but the villagers wouldn't believe her. They stayed outside my house day and night until they were sure that I'd actually left. My aunt kept me hidden inside the house for months until one day I heard that there was a serious illness spreading all through the nearby villages. Auntie, I'm so scared. What's gonna happen?
I have no idea, Arya, but no matter what, promise me you won't step outside of the house.
Well, I did as she asked, but then one day, she also fell seriously ill, and I had no choice but to leave the house to get her medicine. But as soon as the villagers saw me, their faces turned pale white. They were running away from me and screaming at the top of their lungs. She's back! She's back! The devil is back!
She's brought a new plague with her to kill us all this time!
What? Why were they all so freaking dumb? But I didn't care. I had something more important to do. I rushed to the hospital, but as soon as I got there, even the doctors looked at me in shock. What? Did they also think I was a freak? A doctor called me and asked why I had no red dots on my body like everyone else. Well, I bathe daily. I guess that's why. He looked at me confused, but then they conducted a whole lot of tests on me. I was all freaked out. Why were they doing all this? I wasn't some freaking alien. Moments later, the nurse came out and screamed,
"You were right, sir. She's the one."
"The one? What the one?" It turned out they found the antibodies to the disease in my blood. Apparently, my blood was now the cure to the deadly disease that was spreading, and I could save everyone's life. When everyone recovered, the doctors told all the villagers that it was me who saved lives. Everyone looked shocked at first, but then they started screaming,
"Goddess, goddess, she's a goddess. She saved our lives."
People started coming to me with gifts and presents. It was all so crazy. For God's sake, what was wrong with these people? No, stop it, please. I'm no goddess, and neither am I the devil. I'm just a normal human being like you people. It was just a stroke of luck that my blood had the cure. For the first time, I felt the people were actually listening to me. If you really want to give me something, then please stop with these stupid superstitions and abolish all the age-old rules that are ruining our kids' lives and their futures. We don't need that. We need schools and facilities and better hospitals so that more lives can be saved. After that, there was a long silence, and I was all ready to sneak my butt out of that place in case they got mad at me again. But thankfully, they understood. After that, I left the village to go to school and study more about science and medicine, and I was appointed the new chief of the village. Hi, my name is Ginny. The day I was born, there was someone who cried more than me. My dad. Not because he was emotional, but because he was in pain. In the labor room right before my birth, Mom went ballistic on him.
"It's all because of you. You did this to me, jerk."
She literally pulled out chunks of his hair, and he ended up in tears. My parents just didn't get along at all. Once when I was 3, Mom threw a frying pan at Dad because he bought her a PlayStation instead of a makeup kit on her birthday.
"You crazy woman. Are you out of your mind?"
I must be, for marrying a dumbhead like you. When I was 5, I was really excited for my first day of school, but they even ruined that by fighting over who'd drop me off. So I just grabbed my bag and took the bus. School was my happy place. My teachers liked me, I had friends, and best of all, it was drama-free. That is, till I made the terrible mistake of inviting my parents. In the 9th grade, they came to see me as the lead in the school play, but right in the middle of a scene, I started hearing voices from the crowd, and to my horror, I realized it was my parents.
Can you stop biting your nails? It's such a disgusting habit. Can you stop chewing gum like a cow? It's giving me a migraine.
Did you just call me a cow?
No, I said you chew like one.
And before I knew it, Mom and Dad attacked. Everyone was laughing. I ran off the stage to break them up, and then the guards threw them out of the auditorium. I can't believe you guys just did that at my school. What's wrong with you?
Ginny, I'm so sorry your mom's a cow.
Oh my God. Did you really just... Stop it! I can't deal with this! I stormed out of the house and kept walking, but soon I realized I was far away from home, without a phone. Suddenly, a weird-looking man stepped out of an alley and grabbed my wrist.
"Oh, my daughter, I've missed you. Let's go home. Mommy's waiting."
What? You're crazy! Let me go! Just then, a guy came out of nowhere and pushed him aside. He took my hand and we ran like crazy. Once we were a few blocks away, he turned to me.
"Hey, you okay? Why are you alone in this neighborhood at night?"
I told him I'd just gotten lost, and he walked me back home. I was about to ask his name, but he'd just turned around and left. The next day at school, all anyone could talk about was my parents' meltdown, and I was a laughing stock. At lunch, I was trying to ignore everyone's comments when I accidentally ran straight into someone. It was Brittany, a new girl who'd joined our class recently. OMG, you idiot. Do you know how difficult it is to get stains out of a pure silk Prada dress? I'm sorry, but it was an accident. I guess I should feel sorry for you because you come from a family of morons. But I don't. She grabbed a glass of juice to throw it at me, but instead, she threw it at herself. Then she burst into tears and ran off. What just happened? As I walked out of the cafeteria, I saw her crying on a boy's shoulder. When our eyes met, I realized it was the boy from last night. He walked over to me, looking mad.
"Hey, why are you bullying my sister?"
Sister? Me?
I don't know what she told you, but she...
Just stay away from her, okay?
With that, he walked away with his arm around Brittany, who looked back to grin at me. What a psycho! A few days later in the library, I was reaching out for a book on the top shelf when I lost my balance, and someone caught me just in time. Oh gosh, thank you. What's your name?
Paul, how long are you planning to stay in my arms?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thanks.
You're not welcome, and I came here for some peace. So can you stop talking to me now?
Gosh, how rude. A few minutes later, I couldn't hold it in any longer. So I just asked him, "You don't even remember me?"
Of course I remember you. I thought you looked really pretty that night.
And what about right now? He came closer, and my heart was racing.
Well, now I think you're kind of ugly, because now I know you're not a nice person.
Seriously? You'd have to be really dumb to not notice that your sister's a spoiled, mean brat. I pushed past him and stormed off. I just had to stay away from this jerk brother-sister pair. A few days later, our teacher announced a campfire trip. But when I got home, all my excitement went down the drain.
You don't need to go on trips. Just focus on your studies. You don't want to end up like your dad. Why not? I'm handsome, smart, and well off. And you can't even pay your pedicure bills. Here, honey, I'll sign your permission slip.
This was one of the few times their fighting worked for me. On the day of the trip, Paul came and sat next to me on the bus.
Hey, I just wanted to...
Sorry, this seat's taken. As Paul moved away, I put my backpack on the seat and put on my earphones. I wasn't letting anyone ruin the trip for me. Later that evening, everyone gathered around to play Truth or Dare. After a few turns, the spinning bottle landed on Paul, and his friends dared him to kiss me. As we crawled towards each other and our faces came close, my heart was pounding. And when our lips touched, I felt fuzzy. I was completely lost in the moment till someone shouted,
"You guys trying to set some record for the world's longest kiss? Get a room or a tent."
As I went back to my spot, I could feel Brittany's death glare on me, but I couldn't care less. Later that night, I suddenly woke up to see a weird shadow on my tent. I got up to peek outside, but someone pushed me back and we both fell onto the sleeping bag. Paul, what are you doing here?
Just listen to me, okay? I'm really sorry. I do know what Brittany can be like. Also, I can't stop thinking about you since the first time we met.
Suddenly, we heard our teachers' voices close by. We'll be in so much trouble if we get caught.
Come with me. I have a better place in mind.
We sneaked away from the campsite till we got to an old cabin. Once the door closed behind us, Paul pulled me towards him in the dark and started kissing me. Suddenly, I stepped on something soft, and someone screamed. Paul and I yelled too and fell back in fright. Someone flashed a light in our eyes, and we saw that it was Brittany. Another girl was there too, holding her hand and hopping around in pain. "You stupid cow! You stepped on my girlfriend's beautiful hand. How was I supposed to know anyone was here?"
Wait a second. Brittany, you have a girlfriend?
Yeah? Is there a problem?
Remember how you're engaged to Dad's friend's son?
So, he's seeing other people too. It's cool. We'll still get married one day. Wow, this girl was weirder than I'd thought. I made my way to the door, but to my horror, it just wouldn't open. We tried to pull it all together, but it seemed really stuck. And Brittany went off on me. "Why did you ever close the door, moron? Don't you know the first rule of making out in weird places? Never close the door."
Hey, don't talk to my girlfriend that way.
Girlfriend?
Girlfriend? I thought you were just having fun with her.
No, brother. This can't happen. Break up with her now. What are you, crazy? You can't tell him what to do. And with that, I grabbed Paul and started kissing him, but to my shock, he gently pushed me aside. Good boy. Are you freaking kidding me, Paul? You're gonna listen to this psycho? He just stood there silently. I was so mad. I pushed him aside and sat down in the farthest corner. Once I was out of here, I was gonna change schools. There was nothing we could do till someone came looking for us. Brittany laid out a sack and she and her girlfriend cuddled on it together. I sat in my corner feeling cold and grossed out by their kissing noises. But at some point, I drifted off to sleep. Suddenly, I woke up to find a warm pair of arms around me. "Paul, I swear I'm gonna punch you."
Shh, keep it down. You'll wake them up.
Why are you so afraid of your sister?
I promise. I'll explain everything once we're out of here. Just be quiet right now and let me kiss you.
I felt myself sinking in his arms, but moments later, I yelled out in pain when a flying shoe hit me on the head. Brittany was staring down at the two of us, looking completely manic. I told you to break it up, Paul. Have you forgotten that I know your biggest secret and I own your butt? That's it. I want to know what she's talking about, Paul. What is she holding over you? Paul suddenly looked like he was near tears.
Ginny, our mom left us years ago, but I found out recently that she cheated on our dad around the time I was born, which basically means he isn't my dad. And I'm afraid if Dad finds out, he won't want me anymore.
Oh, I know he won't. He'll send you packing to your good-for-nothing real dad. I was stunned and then really mad. So your brother told you the secret and you're using it against him? You're a psychopath, Brittany, and you should be in a mental hospital. Brittany snarled and attacked me. As we wrestled on the floor, we suddenly heard the door fling open. It was our teachers and everyone else from camp. We were all given detention for a month. On the bus ride home, I sat next to Paul and slipped my hand through his. I think you should just tell your dad. The truth will be a shock for him, but I'm sure he won't stop loving you. You don't have to live in fear. Paul smiled at me and nodded, and later that day, we went to his house together. I was waiting anxiously in the lounge while he was talking to his dad. Just then, Brittany walked in. Ugh, do I have to see your face at my house too? Well, I guess once Paul is out of here, I won't. Suddenly the door opened and Paul and his dad walked in with their arms around each other. Paul hugged me and said everything was good. And I was so relieved. But then their dad turned angrily to Brittany.
Paul told me how badly you've been behaving, and I'm taking away all your privileges. You're grounded for a long time.
Brittany screamed and stormed off furiously. When I finally got home, I could hear my parents shouting all the way outside, and I decided that it was time to fix my own family's mess too. Mom, Dad, shut up! I can't take this anymore. You two are getting a divorce, or I swear to God, I'm putting myself up for adoption. For once, I actually got through to my crazy parents, and they did file for a divorce. I also found out that Brittany's rich boyfriend dumped her because he didn't know she was cheating on him, and her dad sent her to a very strict boarding school. Paul and I have been dating for a couple of months, and now we're headed off to my parents' divorce party, and no one is happier than me.